So today we're going to review The Hobbit by Tolkien, and I'm excited to get into this book. Why are you shaking? We're just making a video. This is my dog Hankford. I gave him the name Hankford because I thought it was a more sophisticated version of Hank. Are you going to sit on my lap this whole review? No. I was a little afraid to start this book and do a review on it because I know there is a huge cult following, and I would hate to have a different opinion from this huge group that just adores The Hobbit. I've never seen Hobbit the movie until just recently. After I read the book, I thought I'd just go ahead and watch the movie. I couldn't do more harm than what that movie did. I thought the movie was just atrocious. It's such a money grab, and why couldn't it have all been done in one movie? But I'll save that for a later bit. The Hobbit is a classic that I have never read before, and I grew up in a house where I was dragged to Lord of the Rings when I was probably in 2nd grade and had never even read Tolkien before, but my mom loves this stuff, so this is kind of for her, because she's probably the only one that watches my videos, so I thought I would do a review on a book that she likes. So I hope I don't disappoint her with what I have to say. Another reason why I wanted to read this story was because I recently read the book Firefly Lane, and this book was mentioned several times throughout the piece, and it's just a cultural touchstone. I try to read a couple classics a year that I haven't had the chance to, and this one made the list this year. For those of you that haven't read the book, my summary is it's basically a great adventure tale for the Hobbit. His name's Bilbo, and he goes on this adventure with this clan of dwarves and Gandalf. He's a wizard. And they're on this adventure to go to Thorin's old home in a far, far away land, and it's quite a journey to get there because they have to go over some dangerous terrain, and they have a lot of different hiccups along the way. It's a story of friendship, adventure. So let's talk about some of the things that I liked about this book. I really like the way Tolkien writes. He has a very unique style. The text is so musical, the way it reads, it's just, it feels good on the mouth. The words he chooses, it's so rhythmic and bouncy. It's like a little musical song. I really like the way Tolkien creates this magical world, and he is writing fantasy, so he's creating this whole alternate universe, and the way he writes it is just so visually impactful. It just felt like a movie while reading it. If you've read the book, you're a part of this fantasy world that people don't know about, and I can see how that creates a community. So some things that I didn't like about the book was that I just found it hard to stay engaged with. Even though I liked his writing style, I did have trouble staying within the book. I would get kind of sidetracked. It wasn't one of those books that I could just sit for hours on end and reading it. I found it a hard book to get into in the beginning just because there was such a character dump. I mean, within the first couple chapters, you're introduced to about 15 different characters, and you're just like, wait, what? Who's this person? The biggest theme of complaint in the story is just I couldn't get invested into the characters because I didn't understand their motivations. There's several points in the story where I'm just like, why did this character do this? What was their motivation behind it? So I want to talk about that. So the first motivation that I don't understand is Bilbo, the Hobbit. I don't understand what his motivation was to even go on this journey. To me, Bilbo is a character that is very content living in his house with his, routine and his constant comforts of home. Why does he want to go on the adventure so bad? I don't understand that because he already has everything that he wants. And with the adventure, he's promised money. But to me, Bilbo is well off enough to not be persuaded by money. Like, I don't think money would be a motivation for Bilbo because he already has the comforts of home. And the whole journey, he doesn't think about the money really. He just thinks about going back home, which is something he already had. I don't understand the dragon in this story, the dragon's motivation. What business does a dragon have wanting gold? It's not like the dragon is spending that money. I mean, he literally just sits on it in the story. Like, he just lays on a pile of gold. Why would the dragon need that? What is the motivation there? I mean, what does the dragon do for food? Does the dragon have any love interest? How is it procreating? What are its drive? I have a hard time believing gold is the drive for this dragon, because what purpose does the dragon have with gold? That's what I don't understand. I mean, I get why the dragon killed everyone in the castle, because like, I feel like that's, the dragon would want to eat them. The book does not explain that. I really had a hard time getting behind Thorin, because I think he's a terrible leader with no vision or thought of the future. Like, he didn't plan out how this mission would go at all. Like, he just one day decided that he'd go back to his castle without thinking like long term. It just didn't make sense to me. I mean, I get why Thorin wanted to go back home. He was displaced by this dragon and had no closure, and you know, it's his rightful home. I get that motivation. And then in the book, it kind of like alluded to that he wasn't going to stay at the castle forever, and that they were just going to get the treasure and go back home. But the whole time I'm just like, how are they? It was so hard to get to the castle. How are they going to get back home from the castle, especially if they have a bunch of gold and treasure? It just wasn't addressed in the book. I mean, thankfully the dragon addresses it. He's like, how are you even going to get back home with this gold? I mean, I was just like, thank you, dragon. One thing I thought was kind of weird in the book was how, you know, Bilbo attains this ring that makes him invisible, but none of the dwarves want to try on the ring to see what it's like to be invisible. I mean, if your friend had an invisible ring, wouldn't you want to try it on? And not once does anyone else try on the ring. I thought that was strange. One thing I noticed after finishing this book was the fact that there were no females in it. I understand this book is from 1937, but it was just kind of wild to see how there was no feminine presence at all in this book. Okay, so it's time to tell you what I think this book deserves. I give this book 3 stars. I think it had great elements to it. It was visually intriguing. I just couldn't get attached to the characters though until the very end. I really enjoyed the ending. Even though this book was pretty predictable because Bilbo and his friends always got out of trouble, the ending was not predictable. I didn't foresee that coming. I thought we already killed the bad guys. Smaug the dragon, he's dead. I thought the only other conflict in the book would just be sorting out Thorin, but no. Out comes this whole other issue that I was not expecting. So that was really interesting, and seeing all the characters from earlier in the book come and help them get out of the situation to defeat the goblins. What are you doing? What is it? So anyway, book 3 stars. I liked it. I don't think it lived up to the fanfare cult that it has, but I do understand why people love this fantasy and this make-believe world that Tolkien has created and has expanded on in further books. I feel like the book has been more impactful to people depending on how old they were when they read the story. I feel like a lot of people that were younger when they read the story have a deeper connection to it. I would read the story again if I had a child, and I think it would be a fun story to read to them. I have more content in the works. I'll be doing a review on Hidden Valley Road, which is a story about schizophrenia, and I'm currently reading a book called In 5 Years, trying to complete my Goodreads goal for the year. My goal is 45 books by December 31st. As always, I'm in love with my Seattle Public Library because I read all these books for free using my library card. Remember to like the video and leave comments. Please don't leave comments crucifying me for not being in love with The Hobbit though. It was a great read, and I'm glad I have checked off this classic. I don't know what my next classic will be. My name is Philadelphia, and my Instagram handle is Philly Hewitt. And follow me on there to see what else I'm doing in my life. You'll see a lot of pictures of this little guy. I hope you have a great day. Yes.